Check out the link in the description below and you can find a worksheet that goes along with this lesson. We have one more chord shape to take a look at, and it's related 4 and 5 chords, thinking of the harmonized scale and how we're using the CAGED system, bar chords, and movable shapes to play in any key and have a huge number of chords at our fingertips based on just 5 basic shapes, and then we added in some dominant 7 shapes as well. So how does a D chord look? Open position D. Remember, we free up our first finger. Let's go up to second position. Now let's play E. Okay, so if this is your 1 chord, we're going to need to play, thinking of the key of D, D goes to E, F. We need a G chord for our 4 chord, and an A chord for our 5 chord. So think of that. D, where would be your G shape? 2 frets higher. There it is, and then 5 chord is there. So we have 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, back to 1. So notice how this is a really nice shape to use to find these chords. We're all staying in one position. You have to hit that G chord, which is a little tricky, or G shape. But remember, you can always leave out the 4th string, and it's just like that G, regular G chord, easy. Then move back. Now I'm playing an E chord, the 1 chord, going to the 4 chord, A, B, E. So 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, and 1. What if you wanted to make the 5 chord a dominant 7? How do you play an A7 from an A chord? You take off your second finger. So A7 as a movable shape, just bar where the open strings are, move that up 2 frets. That's going to work well in this particular, with this idea. So 1 chord, I'll just do the small 4 chord, 5 chord as a dominant 7, back to 1. Maybe I'll just do 3 strings. Then to get this 5 chord, I'll play all 4. That's going to sound great with the reentrant tuning as well, because that pitch is going to be up an octave. That's another possibility. You put your A shape down, but you can put your pinky down on the 2nd string, 1 fret higher than where your 3rd finger is. That gives us the dominant 7th sound as well. So 1 chord, 4 chord, leave your pinky down, swap, aha! There's B7 as well. So 5 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, back to 1. So like we've done before, we've always tried to figure out what string is the root note on. So with the D shape, it's the 3rd string. So that's very important to be able to determine what key we're going to use this set of fingerings in. So let's say I want to play in the key of F. I would have to use the note F on the 3rd string. There it is. It's at the 5th fret. Now if I plug in these shapes, D shape, G shape, and A, now we can play in the key of F. Snuck an extra 5 chord there. Let's say we do a progression that goes 1, 4, 5, 4. 1, 4, 5, 4. It's a lot of motion, right? It takes a little bit more work than you would be doing typically in open position, but it's great training for your left hand fingerings. And with some practice, very slow and focused practice on connecting one shape to another, you'll be able to do it. And what I always try to look for is which fingers are common on the same string. So going from the D shape to the G shape, my pinky, I call it a guide finger. It just slides up the string, it guides the rest of the fingers into place. My index finger has to do a big leap just from the high string to the low. While I'm doing that motion, everything's moving together, then I just swap the position of 2 and 3. They just basically move towards the floor. So that's the way you want to practice this at first, is really map out what is required with the left hand to move between, for example, the D shape and the G shape. Then back to the A shape. But I left my pinky down to make it dominant 7th. So see how my pinky is static, but all the other fingers are moving. Once again, the index finger has to jump. It jumps to a bar chord. And then 2 and 3 fall right in place. So 1 chord, 4, 5, and we went back to 4. That's F. G would be 2 frets higher. A flat, or F sharp, sorry, or G flat would be in between in 4th position. How many times have you played in the key of G flat? Right? It might seem so foreign, but it's going to be very familiar now that we're using these shapes. 1 chord, we know where our 4 chord is. Before you even know the names of the chords, you're going to be able to find physically where they are. I could play that same progression. So I'm going to go 1, 4, 5, 4. Now I'm playing in the key of G flat. That's a movable shape. So 1 fret higher, G, A flat, A up at the 7th fret, A, B flat. Right, it starts getting quite high. But the great thing is, now that we've looked at all 5 possibilities, starting with the C shape, the A shape, the G shape, the F shape, and the D. If you're ever playing something and it's just too high, one of those other shapes is going to bring you down to a lower position. If I played B flat using the A shape, which is typically how I play a B flat, and I do 1, 4, 5, you can always find a lower position or a higher position. Once you've learned this concept, it connects the entire fingerboard in any key using the same set of 5 chords plus some dominant 7th chords. So that is the idea that I'm going for here for all of you to have fun with and be able to really expand your horizons about knowing the fingerboard and knowing how to play the same chord in many different ways, bringing out all these different registers of the instrument. And as I love playing what are called chord solos, where you play a melody along with chords, this is fundamental, and it just opens up the fingerboard beautifully. So let's say if I'm playing a song, I'll play a song called Green Rose Hula. 1 chord, 4, 5, in the key of F. 4, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. 1 chord, C shape, 4, 1, 4, 1, 5. I go to the D shape, 5, it's right in between. D shape, we did G for the 4, then back to the G, to the 4. Now I'll move down. Now I'll interchange those. 5, 1, another 5, 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. That certainly had a lot more motion and variation than just doing the song right here for the whole time, right? And now I'm free to find other melodies and other positions, and it's really fun when you start to connect the shapes and connect the dots together. And so what I'll do in the next lesson is I'm going to look at just that. We're just going to stay on 1 chord, but see how the progression of the shapes moves up the fingerboard. So I'll be back with that soon.